Well, Jason Johnson joins us live now for our coverage of the U.S. Elections. He's an associate professor of political science at Hiram College in the state of Ohio. Good to have you with us. Now, that graphic that we ran would certainly give the Obama camp pause for optimism. But if we look at this a little bit closer, when you look at the margin of victory in a lot of these swing states,
right,
it is either very close or within the margin of error. So when you factor that in, this is much closer than it may appear, isn't it?
It's going to be a very, very close election, but it's a consistently close election in Obama's favor. There aren't a lot of states that show that Mitt Romney's in the lead. There aren't a lot of situations where Mitt Romney seems to be gaining. He's been making moves into places that don't seem to suggest momentum, but seem to suggest desperation. So right now, it is leaning towards Obama, only so slightly.
And how do you see the popular vote factoring into this? I mean, we could see a scenario where one candidate wins the popular vote and the other wins the electoral college.
Well, here's what usually happens. The popular vote usually works as a magnet on the states. And if you have a high lead in the popular vote, it'll pull the states with you. Well, right now, the candidates are tied. I would say it's possible we can get a 49.7 to a 49.3 victory for Barack Obama. So I think with the states, we really have to look at those. That's where Obama has the lead right now. That's where most people think the election's going to go.
How much of a factor do you think voter turnout overall is going to be in this election, particularly when it comes to the issue of early voting in some states and the controversy over that, the various legal battles we reported earlier about what's happening in Florida right now? How is that all going to factor into the result?
I think it's absolutely huge. I'm an early voter in the state of Ohio, which is a key swing state. Ohio, the early voter turnout is 30% higher than it was in 2008. Early voting is absolutely key, especially also when you look at places like Virginia, where they were hit by Hurricane Sandy and some of the early voting was slowed down. So the Democrats generally view early voting to work in their favor. The fact that it's up almost all the way across the country is usually a good sign for an incumbent president.
And the fact as well that so much of the campaigning has gone on in a small group of these key battleground states and the rest of the country has essentially been ignored. I mean, is that something that can go on?
It's happened for a while now, but the interesting thing is the map is a lot bigger than people think. We hear about Barack Obama, we hear about Mitt Romney, but their surrogates are in different places. Their surrogates are in North Carolina. You know, Bill Clinton makes trips to New Hampshire. There are different places that people are going, but at this point, the race is condensed. It's about three places. You've got Florida, you've got Ohio, you've got Virginia. Mitt Romney is hoping to win Florida and Virginia. He's probably not going to win Ohio, and that's going to make it hard for him to pull off a victory.
If we look at a scenario, then let's just imagine for a moment that Obama wins, and people will say a big reason for that was his share of the Latino vote. Most of the projections are putting him getting a 2-to-1 margin of victory there. Is that something that the Republicans will need to look to in the future? Is that something that they could have taken more seriously?
Well, not only that, but the Republicans should take minorities more seriously in general. Look, Mitt Romney is polling at about 2% with African-American voters. If he got 5, maybe 7%, he could probably pull a place like Ohio. He could do much better in places like North Carolina. So it's Latino voters, it's young voters, it's African-American voters. The Republican Party really needs to, if they lose this election, they need to reevaluate how they're connecting with minority voters.
Jason Johnson, good to get your thoughts from Hiram College in the swing state of Ohio, no less. Thanks very much.